What's up, guys? We are back at it again with another bow video. The last one ended up doing really well on YouTube, so we decided to run it back. Since the last time that we have checked in with Vitality Bow, he is now rank 3 on the ladder. He's actually been smurfing in most of his games. He hit rank 2. He was actually about 50 LP from rank 1, but went on a 5-game losing streak, and now he's down to rank 2. Guy is still completely smurfing. I mean, look at the last game that he played 15 minutes ago. Pentakill, MVP, auto-filled as Draven. This guy is just an absolute smurf. Even in his losses, I mean, he's dropping complete nukes, 15-5 and 14, 14-7 and 3. Really deserve to win these games. I looked at these two games down here, thought, ooh, 4-4 and 3. That doesn't really seem like a good bow scoreline. Wonder how he's actually performing in these games. Oh wait, here his bot lane was auto-filled and they went 1-15. Then we looked at another one of his Samira games. How did they do this time? 1-9 in his solo lane. So the guy is actually performing really well. I mean, if you just take a scroll down op.gg, you can see that he is on his quest for rank 1, performing in most of the games, tons of aces, tons of MVPs, and it just feels like it's inevitable that this guy will be your rank 1 EUS solo queue player very shortly. His mechanics just seem out of his world. His decision making is amazing as well. Like, half the game seems so effortless. It just feels like he knows what he's going into every single time he gets into a situation. So the game that we decided to pick out from all of these games, I'm not going to show you which one because I don't want to spoil it, is a Pantheon game. And the reason why I've decided to show you guys a Pantheon game is because Pantheon is now entering the meta in competitive play. On the day that we're recording this, it's actually Wednesday for me. The video should be released Friday, but it's Wednesday for me currently. Weibo actually played Pantheon Talia in LPL. Oh, the Pantheon right off the bat. Pantheon jungle. The first Pantheon of the split, I would assume. There's a couple different builds that are going around right now on Pantheon jungle, and the win rate for Pantheon jungle is not great overall, but it seems like it will be a useful competitive pick. Global ulti, ability to be pseudo tanky with the E, and then having target CC is normally just the recipe for a jungler to be useful in competitive play. A bunch of players are playing this right now in solo queue from LEC. We'll start there. So you got Yankos, you got Marong, you've got Elyoya, you got Razor. All these guys are already playing Pantheon jungle, and it seems like it's coming into the meta. The 3 builds that we've seen are Gore Drinker, Divine Sunderer, and Eclipse. Now, the Divine Sunderer is going to have Black Cleaver, Chainsword, Death Dance, these types of items. The more bruisery build, which is going to be similar to Gore Drinker, it's just going to be essentially Gore Drinker instead of Divine Sunderer with those same type of items. And then you also have the Eclipse build, which is going to be the lethality one. So we're going to jump into a game here where he did play Pantheon, and we're going to see how he pathed and how he actually plays out these games, because this is a champion that he's played before in competitive. In those 10 games that he played in LPL, he actually performed really, really well on one of the Pantheon games. He had that series versus Karsa where he played Pantheon, destroyed Karsa, then they reversed it. Karsa played Pantheon, then he destroyed Karsa's Pantheon. Like, this guy has been absolutely a smurf. He looks so poised. He looks so great. So let's get into the game and just see what he's working with. Okay, so we are into the game here. Bow on the Pantheon. I'm going to give you his rune setup. It's pretty standard. It's exactly what you'd expect from a Pantheon jungle. He has Conquer, Triumph, Legend Tenacity, and Last Stand / Coup. He takes both ones depending on the game. In this game, he actually has Last Stand. And for the secondary runes, he has Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. So that's what he's running for this game. He's currently playing with a Sivir Yuumi bot lane, and he is an Elise mid. So these are some interesting picks that he's playing with. Elise mid versus Ahri, I would probably dodge this game. Bo doesn't give a f. He's just going to get into the game and play his best. So let's see how he ends up pathing. Hasn't selected an ability yet. Decides not to level up the W or the Q yet. Normally you see Q start on Pantheon, and we've been seeing a couple different paths. You can full clear your blue side, or you can just path blue into wolves, into raptors, into red buff. And that's another path that people sometimes go for, because you don't really enjoy doing the single target camps until you have multiple points in Q. But yeah, I mean, when you look at how he's pathing out this game, a lot of the time when you have a Yuumi on your team, you're not going to have much kill pressure bot. So right off the bat, you'd think that the lanes that he is going to go to are the Sylas lane and the Elise lane, especially since he's starting bot side. And the Elise, especially into a no cleanse Ahri, that sounds like it would be free kills. I mean, essentially, when you see a champion like Lissandra or a champion like Ahri or Vex, you normally see cleanse coming out of the mid laners, or at least unsealed spellbook. But this is a solo queue game, so cleanse is generally not taken as much. But you've got to expect that a Pantheon stun into an Elise cocoon with Ignite will just be a free kill on mid lane at any point. So he actually goes QW here. I've seen actually some Pantheon jungles go QE. But yeah, one thing to note is when you're playing Pantheon jungle, you want to make sure that you use your final Q when the monster is less than 15% HP, because then you'll do extra crit damage, and it will one-shot those low life monsters. So let's see how he is pathing here. Looks like he might actually go for either an early invade, or maybe he might go for a dive or a gank mid. Using his Q, he's stacking his passive, so he's making sure that he has 5 stacks of his passive whenever he could potentially enter a fight with the enemy jungler. Here he Qs the small ones, and he is just fighting, man. Man does not care. The problem here that they're having to deal with is that the Alistar is already moving up, and not only the Alistar is moving up, the... Ooh, that's a free kill. Okay, we take that. All right, they're just scrapping it out right off the bat. Looks like he is most likely going to die here to Graves. Yeah, not going to be able to survive this unless he pulls a miracle out of his ass. But that's already a kill for his Elise, so his Elise gets first blood in essentially what was a 2v4. So for this fight here, I mean, the Ahri ends up TPing back. His team should have probably already left. There is repel for Elise, but he's not going to be able to do anything. All right, so Bo is going back to his red side jungle. His blue side is fully cleared, and he's actually in a pretty bad spot here. The Graves is already 2-0 up, so you're going to have to actually watch how he plays from behind. How does he get a lead back in this game? Yeah, we're just checking out lanes real quick while he clears his Raptor camp. He's doing his red right now. Bot lane is getting dove. Let's see the result of this, and then we'll go back to Bo and watch him clear his red buff, because that's the exciting thing that people really want to see here. Holy Phoenix doesn't end up dying. So 3 kills on the Graves, and not only is it 3 kills on the Graves, I'm pretty sure what I just saw was a Treasure Hunter stack from Graves. So it's 3 kills plus Treasure Hunter for Graves. Okay, let's double click the Pantheon and let's focus on him. Ends up doing Crab. I mean, Bo is currently a level up on the Graves, so it's not the end of the world. Now he's looking top on this Gnar. This Gnar is extremely low. He will die to... Ooh, that was actually an interesting way to play it. So he actually goes for the movement speed there. If he was mini Gnar and he got into range of Bo's WQ would have killed him. But yeah, Bo is actually not in a good spot. Yeah, he's down 1k gold on a Graves at 4 minutes. Well, surely he's just going to be out of the game. Surely this guy will just be useless now. So look at Graves items real quick. You have a Umbral Glaive at 5 minutes into the game. On first base, the Graves just pulled out an Umbral Glaive. That is crazy. As you can see, he is kiting the camps max distance. He knows that those wolves are actually going to insta-die to the Pantheon Q, the crit Q, because they're under 15% HP. Okay, and the pickaxe coming out. So this is something that a lot of junglers are doing right now. They don't like building the Iron Spike Whip. They feel like the Iron Spike Whip is useless. So a lot of times you'll see Caulfield's Warhammer and pickaxe, and sometimes you'll even see the Kindle Gem come out before they actually build their Iron Spike Whip. Especially when you're playing a jungler like Pantheon that has the ability to do AoE damage to camps with the Q. You don't really need the Iron Spike Whip, and the damage that you get from it is actually pretty negligible. This bot lane is getting pressured. I mean, this is one of those games where the early game is rough, but the nice thing is that if you get a lead in this game and you have a Yuumi on your team, normally you'll just be able to run away with it. So see how it ends up going. Level 6 is going to be his next easy way to find ganks. Like once you have ultimate on Pantheon, you can just throw it behind the bot lane. You don't actually have to worry that much about hitting the center of the ultimate. As long as you just throw it behind a lane, generally you'll just be in position to get the kill. Okay, so using your empowered W when you're doing single target camps is normally pretty good. And part of the reason that he pulls camps like this is because he wants to have 5 stacks when he ends up entering. He's looking for a potential ulti, but Graves gets another kill. So Graves 4-0 right now at 8 minutes. Coming in, uses the Q, stacks his Q, and yeah, now he's actually going onto the Graves. Now he's going to be able to disengage this with the Z. Looks like he is just balancing all over this Graves face. Okay, he just solo killed a Graves that, was 4-0. The thing there is that the Graves was not actually up that much gold in items because he hadn't based yet. So he was actually sitting on a decent amount of gold there. He was sitting on about 1,200 gold. So that was when Bo thought he could take the fight. But Pantheon is really strong in those types of all-ins. I mean, it's just the core of the champion is being able to get those types of all-ins like that and to be able to skirmish well. In team fights, champion kind of falls off. You have to really know your limits in a team fight to make Pantheon really work. But in these types of skirmishes, actually is going pretty well. They're on to this Herald. Herald gives 200 gold now, so it's pretty important to get Herald. He actually gets it, and he's just ulting out. He said, peace. Later. He ends up getting question mark pinged, and then he ends up emoting. But I mean, he's sitting on a lot of gold. He wants the base. He just got a 700 gold shutdown. Should have Gore Trigger in base as well. I mean, getting this Herald is crucial, though. Being able to get this Herald and then use it on a lane is going to be a massive gold influx. I mean, the problem is that the Silas has it, but I don't even think that's the end of the world. Pretty much means that if you ever dive top and kill the Gnar in the next like 3-4 minutes, you'll be able to take the entire turret. So the downside of this play overall is, I mean, obviously the people died, but more importantly that he ended up using his first ult. Like, your ult at rank 1 is a super long cooldown, and it's kind of like TF or Nocturne or one of these types of champions where you feel like if your first ult is wasted, the game's in a bad state. But right now, he's actually okay. If you're going to check in on gold again, he's only down 900 gold, and he has a Gore Drinker. So on this item value, he'll actually win 1v1 even harder with Graves. Like, it should be just a walk in the park. I'm going to move the camera a little bit so we can see what's going on here. Yeah, and Graves is actually onto the Drake here. Ahri just TP'd bot, and his bot lane can't really help, so he might have to de-aggro this or play for the steal. Ahri just ultied and flashed onto the Sivir. You can tell off the screen by how fast he closed the distance. And he ends up getting the Drake. I mean, these Drakes are actually huge. Oh, the Gore Trigger? Oh my god, don't do it to him. That's too much. Oh, we're gonna have to rewind that one. So Ahri ends up using her ult and flash. This is what I was telling you guys about, onto the Sivir. Tell based on the minimap how fast people move. And then here, he ends up getting the Q smite. He smites first, actually, to put it into the 15% execute range. Gets the Gore Trigger proc, and then he gets a Triumph proc there from the Graves dying. Ends up finishing off the Ahri, and then here he just taps him once with the Q and gets another Triumph proc over there. And now he's going to go into the enemy jungle and see if he can actually get anything done. He might be able to dive the Aphelios. Aphelios is half-life, has flash, no cleanse, so he'll definitely be able to execute him if he fights him with stacks. Trying to bait him into fighting. Even at this amount of HP, if he gets the full W with the 5 stacks, he'll end up getting 3 stacks, plus he can then E auto, and then he'll get another proc of his maximum stacks, and then he'll be able to press Q and execute. So he'll actually be able to kill the Aphelios pretty easily at that time. And both players know that at this yellow bracket. Yeah, there's a couple of interesting things with Pantheon. Like, if you WE, you can actually animation cancel. Okay, let's see. He's ulti out to bot lane. It's about half life here. But yeah, I mean, that's just a free kill. It's the power of the Pantheon. And just like that, man, just like that, he is now even in gold. After the absolutely catastrophic start of Graves having 3 kills and an Umbral Glaive at 5 minutes, he's already just stabilized the game completely. So the Empowered E now has a different passive than if you used to play, or a different bonus than if you used to play Pantheon way back in the day. It used to be able to block turret shots and it would last an extra amount of time. Now the Mortal, I think it's called Mortal Will. Yeah, the Mortal Will bonus is now movement speed. 60% movement speed for 1.5 seconds. Actually huge. It's actually putting points into E second. I've actually seen some people play W second on Pantheon as well, which didn't make too much sense to me, but I guess the logic is that the E cooldown doesn't go down with points. So yeah, normally people will care a lot about the cooldown scaling on putting points into an ability. Ahri goes in and gets absolutely one-shot by the Elise. Who is this Elise, bro? Is this just a jungler that mains Elise playing mid lane? Is this a Elise mid one trick? What are we actually witnessing here? They walk straight over the ward. He says, "Okay, bro, we're just coming for this turret." Yep. And he's coming to actually, like, just share the gold, to be honest. He doesn't really need to be here. Or he could have let it crash, given the solo plates to the Silas, but he wants the money. I mean, it's solo queue. He's trying to get himself as far ahead as possible. The other thing that's actually really good about Pantheon is as you get these kills and when you go build like Gore Drinker with Cleaver, your ulti cooldown becomes lower and lower and lower because of the amount of ability haste you have. So that ends up being pretty nice for the champion in general. I mean, with Graves getting kills, I mean, he's still behind, but he's got a Yuumi on him. Is he really behind is the question. And Graves is really far up in the lane right now. It looks like Alistar is going to try to headbutt him into turret here. We'll see if it actually ends up mattering. He should be tanky enough that he's okay here. And he's just going straight for the Graves. Ends up Eing for the movement speed. Flashes the wall. Actually, he didn't get the movement speed there. He didn't have Mortal Will proc. And at this point, you could expect the Sivir to just be 1v2 for the rest of the game and Yuumi to just sit on top of Bo.
Don't worry, Book. I would never do that.
So now he has his ult back again. So this is actually the thing that's really interesting about Pantheon. Is that even though he's been like on the map, the ability for him to re-gank a lane is almost instant. So people will forget about it. If you've just ganked a lane, but you didn't use your ult, and then you go back to your jungle, the ability for you to re-gank that lane within like a 15-second window will normally catch people off guard. And especially right now where Pantheon hasn't been in the meta for about like, I think it was like since maybe early season 11 was the last time that we saw Pantheon jungle really in the meta. People are not accustomed to actually respecting Pantheon ulti as much as they should. Okay, so he's doing second Herald here. Most likely this will just be used on mid turret, but getting the second Herald is pretty nice. 200 gold from the rifts now. It's 400 gold that he's made just off Herald. Exactly. I've been checking on the gold difference the entire time. So right now he is down 800. But with a Yuumi on top of him, he's way stronger than Graves. Graves needs to be further than 800 gold ahead. At Graves' current state, with the current level of balance, to actually be powerful in this game, to be stronger than the Pantheon. Dazzle for the Alistar. Ends up going all the way for Holy Phoenix. Does he end up killing him here? Doesn't end up killing Holy Phoenix there, but does a ton of damage on him. He goes straight for the AD. Interesting way to fight it. It is a pretty aggressive way to fight it for sure. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but I don't know if that was the best decision either. I mean, especially when the AD is not strong like this. Don't think that that's the best play I've ever seen. But he does have ulti, so he can look for this Drake. And Drake takes so long to kill on this patch. See what ends up happening. Bo's looking to ult in. Graves is still on it. He's ulting now. Is he going to steal it again? Is it going to be 2 Drake steals? So he ends up not getting the Drake, but that's a free kill. And now he's going to use the E for the movement speed. 60% movement speed is actually huge. And there's no ulti on Alistar. We just saw him use it mid. Be a free kill here. And he can just keep on going forward. Oh, and he got the Gordraker proc too, plus the Yuumi heal. But that being said, this seems like a game-defining fight. Mount Drake does end up going over to blue team here, but Bo gets a bunch of kills. Gets 2 or 3 kills there. I believe he actually got 3 kills there. A huge influx of gold. He's able to counter jungle on the other side of things. And with the scaling that they have with Sivir Yuumi, I don't think that they're going to have much of a problem here. Even considering the fact that they do have an Elise mid, which you would assume doesn't scale the best. It seems like the Pantheon Yuumi is going to be too tanky for blue team to deal with for a huge portion of the game. So the interesting thing about this game in comparison to the last one is Bo had a lot more bad things happen to him. He had a much harder time in this game, but he actually continued to fight. He didn't really do what you see most junglers end up having to deal with, which is when they're behind, they really just kind of end up farming. They don't really have much influence on the game. Like, he was still playing aggressively, even though he was behind. He was still taking fights. And the thing that really put him back in this game is knowing his limits on that Graves 1v1 mid. When he collected that 700 gold Graves shutdown mid, the game completely changed. You know, then he was able to get his Gordraker. They were able to get Herald, and everything just completely snowballed in the other direction. So it's been well played from him so far. You have a TP coming in from the Ahri. It seems like he just doesn't care, though. This is a straight 3v3, but there are people coming. So let's see how this ends up going, because there's an Alistar coming, and there's... Oh, he repositions for the Q there. There was an Alistar coming and an Aphelios coming. Ends up dying. Okay. He ended up getting mid turret as well, but he did trade 2 back beforehand. So he E'd there, and the reason he flashed behind is because the E proc is only in front of you, and in that situation, the Gnar, I believe, or the Ahri, whoever it was, just ended up walking in front of him. So he needed to reposition for his E proc. At the end of the day, this was 2 turrets for 1. Really not even a bad thing, and they didn't respect it. Pantheon is back in here. Doesn't look like it's been going super well for them yet. Oh my god, Silas is going back in on that. Stopwatches. Bo's gonna wait for his cooldowns. He really needs his E to be able to do anything here. The slow fight they could end up winning, but he definitely needs to be able... He needs to have his E to be able to actually close the gap and one-shot them. Ari's coming behind him, but he has his team coming, so he's got to play it really slow. He's got to wait for people. And he's got to use his E well here. Goes on to Alistar. Alistar has no ult. He'll die instantly. There's the E proc. And he's just running through everyone. Now it's just a slaughter. Man, Yuumi Pantheon looks a little bit broken. I think the main problem with Yuumi Pantheon, the reason why we might not see Yuumi Pantheon in competitive is just the early game sounds like it's a little bit of a mismatch where Yuumi wants to generally play pretty safe and just scale, and the Pantheon wants to permafight. So you'd think that you would pair this with more champions like Nautilus, where you could just roam around the map and kill everyone. He bases he has Death Stance, so he's going to buy that immediately. Well, now there's no killing him for sure, right? Who has damage to kill him? Now he's got armor. He's got a Yuumi on top of him, so you need healing reduction. He's got the ability to just delay attacks or like just become basically invulnerable with his E, or invulnerable to auto attacks with his E against a bunch of champions that auto attack. And now he's got enough CDR or ability haste that he's able to use his E multiple times in a fight. So he's at a really, really powerful point. I mean, this is probably the biggest spike that he would get in a complete game. Death Stance, a bunch of ability haste. The Yuumi is super relevant. This Yuumi didn't even go Moonstone. Not sure if I like the Shirelius Yuumi really, but okay, we'll accept it. Okay, they end up flashing onto his Elise here. Elise is no Zanya, so when he drops down, he's just dead. So this would be an opening where you'd expect blue team to try to go for this Drake, which is their second Drake, third Drake overall in the game. Burn coming out from the Yuumi. Doesn't seem like Bo will be able to use it that well. All right, let's see how he fights it. Let's see how he uses this massive power spike. Still alive for now. They get a kill. Death Dance proc. Another Death Dance proc. Yuumi on top. Well, that is an FF angle. That is an FF angle if I've ever seen one. I mean, if you're not winning that, which is essentially a 2v5, like, when are you going to kill this Pantheon? Game's a wrap. Ulting to Drake, just to style on him. And the FF ends up coming out from the blue team. So a good Pantheon jungle game. I really like this game specifically because it was a game where he didn't end up having just a smooth just way into the game. He didn't start out by getting a free kill and then another free kill, or get like first blood before the minion spawn or something like that, and then he just has more items than the enemy. He can always fight. He actually played from really far behind this game, but it didn't seem like it affected him at all. He was still looking for the same angles, and he just was able to find the crucial opening mid lane. When Graves stepped up, thinking that he was stronger than the Pantheon, he just got clapped. Bo just absolutely clapped that guy, got a 700 gold shutdown, was able to get Herald and Snowball through the game. So a game that looked doomed, where Graves is 3-0 with an Umbral Glaive at 5 minutes on his first base, ends up being a 22-minute win for Bo. Didn't even look challenging. Looked like this game was just going to get worse and worse from here. I mean, this is a game where if they let it go the distance, this could be a solid 25 kill game. This could be one of those 30 bombs that he drops a couple times now on his climb. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. This is a little bit of a different angle. We decided to tunnel in on the Pantheon here as opposed to just his overall playstyle, because this is a champion that is coming back into the meta, and I wanted to see somebody play it that actually plays at a really, really high level. I mean, I think that this is the build that we will be seeing in competitive play. It just looks way too tanky, and the ability to get multiple E's off in a fight is the difference between winning a lot of fights and losing a lot of fights. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video as much as you enjoyed the last one. When we do the next one, I believe Bo will be rank 1. So we'll be doing another video on Bo, at least, if not many more videos on Bo. But when we do the next one, hopefully we can release it with Bo as the rank 1 player in EU West. I'll see you guys later for that video.